vous allez faire la présentation en anglais. Hein, c'est bien ça. Alors voilà, il faut juste essayer d'être, surtout pour moi, plutôt lentement.
Bonjour, merci pour cette invitation. Je m'excuse, je vais présenter en anglais, c'est plus facile pour moi. I think the reason I was invited was a text in the Zurich's newspaper in February, and it was about, similar to what I'm going to speak about, and my investigation with skyscrapers. I think it began after I did my diploma in architecture. From 1997 to 2003, I was in New York as an architect, so it was a fascination with living in an environment that was dense, and there were obviously the high-rises involved. And then in 2011, I taught a class in my seminar, and in 2011, I think Zurich was kind of under shock with the Prime Tower being there. And if you know the school in Zurich, you take a bus and you look at the city, and you really see it every time you go to the architecture school. There was this Prime Tower, and it was impossible not to have emotions. I think it had all kinds of associations and reactions, but Zurich was under the spell of this new building. So, and then 2 years later, I focused this text. I'm going to come back to it. Focuses on the ground level of the skyscraper. So this presentation will be about the ground floor. It will be about foundation in the literal and in the metaphorical sense. And in a way, it is about the common ground of the tower and the city. That is the topic tonight. So the illustrations tonight are mostly images of the Eiffel Tower. There are photographs by Pierre Petit and by André Martin, and those are taken from Roland Barthes' book with the essay The Eiffel Tower, which I'm going to refer to. This image is from the Revue Illustrée in 1889, when the Eiffel Tower, with a height of 300 meters, opened for the Paris World Fair. It was put in context with other monuments, and so it's illustrating this competition for height, for significance, and for symbolizing, for being a symbol, symbolizing different things for different people. And then this is an illustration from 2010, which also is about this conquest and contest for height, tallest building, and especially then I spoke about the emotions before that come with this symbolism of reaching into the sky with the building. And this illustration does not include the Eiffel Tower, even though it would be taller than what it is, because it's not a building with a program. And this is also why Roland Barthes' essay is such a resource, I think, because he talks about how the Eiffel Tower is useless, and how it can take on so many meanings just because of its uselessness, as is a site of projections more than anything. So but then, however, these are also sites of projection. The charts, you can't read it, but this was also fashionable, especially when the Prime Tower went up, to relate the occurrence of tall buildings with economic crises. which I don't know, it was in the Zurich newspapers, and so yeah, so this is what this illustrates. So also when the Eiffel Tower was planned, there were fears that it would make a change, which it obviously did. It was called useless and monstrous by this manifesto by artists and architects of Paris in 1887. It was called a threat to the beauty of the city, a threat to the identity, a dishonor. It would dishonor Paris. And Maupassant, who is also was one of the people who signed, just talking about the restaurant, the Barthes essay begins with Maupassant dining in the restaurant very often because it was the only place where he would not have to look at the tower. I think of that a lot when I sit in the Clouds restaurant. You can be there and be Maupassant, not seeing the tower, and the only place you can see it. So the foundations, and literally, obviously a tall building needs deep foundations. So this is illustrating the earthworks happening in the Champ de Mars when they started to build this structure that was supposed to go 300 meters up into the sky. Eiffel was mostly an engineer of bridges, so the anchoring is also, I think, a lot taken from bridge engineering, and thinking of the Eiffel Tower as a vertical bridge, it becomes obvious also when you look at these early images, and it's also a thought that Barthes moment takes on in his essay. So this vertical bridge, Eiffel also referred to it, it's a bridge with a flagpole on top. But it is also a bridge between the ground and the sky. So I think it's important to think of it as a bridge in that sense also. So going up, many skyscrapers have a base that is wider than the top for structural reasons. But I think it's also, one could also take the image of the pyramid as a diagram, as a social diagram, that even also the Prime Tower with its narrow base, the ground level, the base is the base of the public. It involves a lot of people. And then, especially in the classic New York skyscraper, it becomes more and more selective who is allowed to go up. And then the top floor is the director's office. And obviously there are these democratic attempts to break that by a restaurant on top, then turns this over, and there's not there. But then the clients are on the just below the restaurant. So I think this social pyramid still is a valid scheme, that the ground floor is really the floor for the most people. And thinking of, in Zurich, a lot of these high-rises may have hybrid programs, and many of them have, or several have, a hotel on the first 10 floors and then apartments above. And it is also for noise regulation, because you can't, there's traffic noise, so you can't, it's difficult to accommodate apartments. But I think also in terms of this idea of this social pyramid, it is an interesting idea to have a hotel with more people passing through at the ground level, and then the more private apartments higher up. So this is also a thought I expressed in the article. That's this newspaper page to the right, that I think is the reason why I was invited to be here. So the name of the article was Urban Spaces Without Names, and I pointed at this in-between space between